What's up, guys? Today we're going to be going over the very basics of Nistune. Basically what we are going to do is just kind of go through, you just got your NA2T done, and how we're going to set it up with Nistune. I do want to say Nistune is not perfect. You know, there are some weird like little tuning things that you have to work out. So a lot of people do like to do the Mega Squirt gold box, I think it is. And there's a guy on Facebook who sells a full like wiring harness for it. So if you want to do that, it's a little bit more expensive. For everything together, Nistune is about $300, whereas the Mega Squirt with a harness, it's around 1,200. So it's a good chunk more money. But people do like Mega Squirt a little bit more. But whatever we have today is Nistune. This is what I did when I did my NA2T swap, just because it was cheaper, and it actually hasn't worked out too bad. So let's go ahead and talk about Nistune. So you can see I have it right here. You can buy all of the stuff you need directly from Nistune. I would suggest doing that. They are a pretty cool company. So let's go ahead. I'm going to open up Chrome real quick. Nistune.com is where you're going to want to go. You're going to head to the support tab and then go down to software downloads. And then if my internet is fast enough, we'll go ahead and get to this page. So this is what you want, right here at the top. You're going to want the top version. This is the release, which basically means that's the latest update. Now Nistune does, I think they put like a 30-day like time period on every single release of Nistune because they want you to keep updating and you keep using the latest files. So it is something you have to remember. You kind of have to update a little bit more often with Nistune. While you're here, also download the Nistune ROM pack, or you could do the FP. This is the feature pack. I'll get into a little bit more. Basically, the feature pack just has stuff like, I think the only major thing is launch control. There's a few other things, but they're not really too necessary. But anyways, we're going to go and get both of those, go and download it, and you'll get Nistune right here. So what you're going to want to go ahead and do right here is the Setup Assistance tab. And so if this is your first time, it's a really good thing to kind of follow this checklist. You don't really need to do everything, but we're going to go ahead is select our ECU from the ECU vehicle list. So you can see right up here in the corner it says 1988 through 89. That is the kind of the base tune that I'm running on my car. I have a 1986, but I've been running a 1988 tune and then like changing that, and it's been working fine for me. I think it was just kind of like a weird error back a long time ago when I first clicked it, and I haven't changed it back because the different years aren't compatible with each other. 1984 and 1985 are one, 1986 is one, I think 1987 is one, and then 88 through 89 here is another. So let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and just do vehicle list. The Z's are always at the bottom, so just scroll all the way down. And we're going to go ahead. I'm going to do 1986. We're going to click it. And then you can double tap or hit OK. So now that we have it up here, it's selecting 1986. We can either go ahead and load a base tune from the file or connect to our actual car. We're going to go ahead and get it from file right now. Basically, this is what the ROM pack that I told you to download just a little bit ago was for. We're going to click from file. It's going to be, I believe, in your documents. You go ahead and click Nistune, ROM pack, and we have the Type 1 board. It's important to remember. And then just scroll down to VG30, if it'll scroll for us. You can see, there's a Z31 with an RB, and there's a Z31 with the VG. Now these are each individual year's different bin file, or ROM, I guess you could call it as well. Basically, this is every single bit of information that is necessary to run the car. And it really is important to get the right one for your ECU. You can see 1986 has 1, 2, 3, 4 right here, and they all have different numbers on the end. MT is for manual transmission. If you scroll down, there's an 86 with an AT. These are more MTs. There's an AT right here. Just look on your ECU, and these last like 5 characters right here, they'll actually be on your ECU. So you want to match it to that. I'm just going to go ahead and grab this 1986, and then we're going to hit OK. So this is the very basic Nistune setup. Oh, I forgot to mention, you can see this is the VG30ET. So this is the turbocharged map. Let me go ahead and go back into this real quick. So you can see these are the E's right here. And so these are all the naturally aspirated. But we're going to want ET because this is a turbo map. I'll go ahead and leave it as what we have. So the basic configuration here is you have a fuel map that tells you at what RPM and what load how much fuel to put in. So if you did a stock swap, you took a naturally aspirated engine and just put every single stock piece onto it, a stock tune will actually be pretty close to what you need. You're going to want to adjust it just a little bit to adjust for the higher compression. Maybe run a little bit richer in these more, in the richer parts, the higher RPM. But it's not going to be too bad. If you did NA2T like mine and you upgraded a bunch of stuff and you changed the flow characteristics, you're going to want to really mess with this right here. But we'll get into that in just a second. So let's go ahead and close this out. And now, when it says right here, connect to ECU and download, I'll go ahead and go over that real quick. This is the console button. It's going to connect you to the ECU. So if you plug in your ECU via USB cable to this, you'll go ahead and be able to read it. You can download what is on the ECU already, or you can upload this map here to your ECU. If you do that, when you connect to the ECU, you have to make sure that whatever tuning file you're using is what is selected in this main slot, and then you upload it. If it accidentally got pushed out, because sometimes if you connect, even though you've been working on something, it'll push out whatever you've worked on. So you want to make sure the correct file is in the main slot. Right here, there's a couple gauges. It's very helpful. I'll show you this, a picture of it. So it shows you RPM, what your MAF is reading. The coolant temperature has been a big one for me, making sure I don't overheat. And then just a bunch of other random stuff like battery voltage, fuel temperature doesn't matter at all, and then injection duty cycle. And then if you have ethanol sensor, the ethanol percentage. We'll go ahead and close it out. But that is just, excuse me, that is a helpful tool when you are working on your car. Now another thing here you'll see is wideband. I haven't been able to figure out how to actually get my wideband to connect directly to my laptop. It takes a sort of USB like analog converter that I don't have. So you may have seen my wideband install video where I put it into the ECU and it kind of reads it, but it doesn't really give you any good information out of it, at least that I can't tell at the moment. And then I haven't spent a lot of time on that. So that'd be something to look into if you want. But I really do recommend having a wideband sensor while you're tuning your car. You really don't want it to be too lean. You know, too rich is safer, but you don't want to be too rich because you won't get maximum power. You'll get terrible fuel economy, stuff like that. So really having a wideband sensor, just one in your car that you can just see as you're driving, is a very, very good investment, and I highly recommend it. I have a glow shift one. You can check out my video. It's a really good sensor. I like it. So let's go and jump into it. Number 3, select your MAF calibration. We're going to click on this little link here. And for standard Z31, it says the current map right here, Z31. What I really recommend is to get the Z32 MAF. We'll scroll down and find it. They always like to put them towards the bottom. Right here is Z32. The reason I always recommend a Z32 MAF is because it's just so much more reliable than a Z31. It's just going to take a lot of guessing out of the equation. The Z31 also, you can see it's limited right here. It says 266 horsepower. The Z32, it says 500 horsepower. Don't quote me and don't quote Nistune that those are the maximum horsepower that you can make with it. But that's probably a good recommended value. So if you're going to be using the Z31, you really don't want to push it too high above 266. But what we're going to go ahead and do is click Adjust Load Scales. We want to click that, make sure everything will get it. And then this double is if you're running 2 MAFs. But we're not going to be running 2 MAFs, we just have one. So we're going to hit Commit Change, and then OK. Now that red bar was pretty much just saying, hey, you're not connected to the ECU, because I'm at my desk right now, I'm not in my car. But in real life, it would actually change that, and it shows you down here the load multiplier was updated. What we're going to go ahead and do is click on Adjust Injector Size now. So we're going to go ahead and click Injector Size, and we're going to click Factory CC. This is going to go ahead and give us the factory injector size, this is the current code it gives you, basically. It's what's in the ECU, and we're going to adjust it to our new one. So our new ones are 550 cc's, and we're going to go ahead and adjust the load scalars again, and then hit OK. And then make sure your car is off, but the ignition is on. And there we go, we've adjusted our injector size. And then that's pretty much all we need to do for the moment. Let's go down here. What you want to make sure, you want to go over a couple real important things. We're going to actually, let me say one thing real quick. You go to File, Configuration, and then go over to Miscellaneous Settings. You want to set your user mode to Expert. It doesn't actually make it more difficult to use, but it adds a few things in this table over here that we really need. So go ahead and set it to expert. And then we're going to scroll down all the way to the bottom, make sure these are in good condition. This temperature conversion table, it'll take the CHTS sensor that you have in your engine telling you how hot it is, and it'll convert it properly so that your ECU knows how hot it is. Because if it's a hot engine and it thinks it's cold, it's going to be running the incorrect fuel ratio because it's going to be injecting extra, and vice versa. And then something along with the math translation as well, you want to make sure they both look like this. If they don't look like that, and this is just a flat line or something, it's going to run wrong, and it could possibly damage your engine. So now that we have those, we're going to roll down here. This is the load multiplier and the injection latency. So these are, again, stock values, so you're going to want to have to adjust these a little bit. But 560 milliseconds, I think I have 650 on my 550cc injectors, and if you get really expensive injectors, they'll typically come with data charts showing you the exact cc value as well as the injection latency. So that's where you'll plug that information in right here. As well as do remember that cc's vary based on fuel pressure as well. So even though I have 550cc injectors, really they're closer to 520 cc's in my car because I'm running a lower fuel pressure than what they're rated for. So that's something to know as well when you're doing this. So when you're doing the injector size, I would suggest doing the math to figure it out. But this is going to be something we're going to adjust. This load multiplier is just like a constant over the entire fuel board of how much it is going to increase or decrease the amount of fuel going into your engine. So if you first turn on your car, and it's running and it's 13 AFR at idle at up to temperature. You want to make sure you're at temperature whenever you're doing anything with the air-fuel ratios. 13 is too rich. You want it to be closer to 14 to 15. So you're going to go ahead and just drop this down, like just lower it and then hit apply, or you can auto apply. Something to realize is that I think I have mine up at 300. Excuse me. I think I have mine around 300, and that's always a good place to start at with different injectors. So go ahead and bring that up to whatever value you need. Changing it by like 20, so you can set this at 280 to start out with. Excuse me. You can set it at like 280 to start out with, and then if it's too rich, lower it. If it's too lean, raise it up. But just check it at idle. If you're too lean or too rich at idle, you can adjust it right there and then go from there. You don't have to just work. You don't have to drive it first. You want to be safe and not put any load on the engine if you're having tuning problems. So go ahead and adjust those. Close that and close that. And I'm pretty sure that is really the last thing that we need to look at. Come up here. Temperature enrich. This is what I was talking about earlier. The colder your engine is, the more fuel it's going to enrich it. So say we're at 24 degrees Celsius. All of this is in Celsius at the moment. It's going to inject about 30% more fuel than you really need. So if your temperature conversion table was incorrect and it thinks you're at 24 Celsius, it's always going to be injecting 30% more, and it's not going to give you the correct values. So go ahead and make sure all these tables just look good. Close that. Scroll up here. You really don't need to mess with too much of this. For the timing map, I'll show it to you. Do not change it. I never recommend anybody to change it unless you're an actual tuner and you know how to work with it, because this is where you make power. With timing, you can make a lot more power. The problem is if you advance the timing too much, you can run into knock, and you can literally break your engine. So do not touch the timing unless you're a tuner. Or if you want to spend a lot of time working on it, go ahead. But I really don't recommend it. Just work with the fuel map for now, and then get it tuned by a professional. So this is what we're going to be working with. Now, something we want to know, so say, pull up a calculator. We went from like 180 we're going to go 550cc injectors are our new injectors, and we're going to divide the new ones by the old ones, which are smaller, 180. And so we have 3 times the injector size. So what we're going to go ahead and do in our fuel map, come in here, all of this that's not the blue, this is all the boost portion of the map. Now it'll vary a little bit, and I'll show you my actual map that I'm using right now on my NA2T, because the stock turbo, it actually functions within this range pretty well and doesn't really build too much boost, which is why it's all pretty lean. These really high numbers are really lean, I'll tell you that. And then once you get to these really big numbers here, that's going to be a lot more rich. It's where you're on boost and you want to really shove a bunch of fuel into it. So what we're going to go ahead and do is, because we didn't change anything, we're going to go ahead and grab that, and then you're going to hit percent change. Now we have 3 times larger injectors, which means we want roughly a third of the fuel that we're putting in. So we're going to go to a 35% adjustment, bring that down, perfect. And then we're going to do that for all of this section right here. You know, if you want to kind of like do it a little better so you don't get these 190s in there, you can do that. But we're going to go ahead and put 35% in and knock it all down. Now I do recommend changing these if you are going to be doing it in the future. I'll show you my map. It didn't end up looking like this very much. But I just want to let you know, you have to knock all of this down in accordance with your new injector size. So now that we've done this, we're probably in a pretty good spot. You know, don't leave these 67s, bring them back up. But we're in a pretty good spot right now to go ahead and actually start doing a few like half throttle pulls on your engine and watching your air fuel gauge and seeing where it is getting too lean or too rich. And one thing that's really nice is when Nistune is running and connected in your car, it'll actually show you, like, there will be a group of 4 boxes that get grayed, and it'll move with the RPMs and the load, so you know exactly where it's at, what data it's pulling from in this map. So as you increase your load, it's going to go up this way, because you're probably going to be increasing your RPMs as well, which is this size right here. So it's going to be going up this way, so if you get like to right here and it's too lean, you know, you can just select this section right here and be like, you know, it's a little too lean around here. I'm going to go ahead and up it to 120%, you know, so it made it richer in that area. It made it 20% more fuel in that area. So that's basically the gist of what you're going to be doing. I'll go ahead and show you my tune now that I have. This is my HX35. I've got a big intercooler on the front, and then it's also on an NA block. This thing right here, I have a feature pack in mine. So like I was saying with the launch control, I have launch control on mine because it is the feature pack. So we're going to go ahead and just auto load it, and it'll pull it up for us. You can see up here it changed now 88 to 89. Flex fuel is one of the feature pack items, and launch control. But this is my fuel map right here. So you can see it looks a lot different than the stock map. Right up here we have a lot of the leaner area, and then all of this is a lot richer boost area. Because pretty much anywhere I am, so say I'm cruising on the highway, I'm at about 3,200 RPMs. I'm right in between these 4 boxes right here. So I'm going to be pretty lean. You know, you want your cruise to be around 15 AFRs. That'll give you pretty good fuel economy. But you know, as soon as you step onto that throttle and you start getting more air flowing through, you really want to get a lot denser with your map. I don't know why that this is purple right here. It doesn't make sense to me. I've tried everything to get it to look better. But basically you just kind of like want a smooth curve. So you can see I max out around 9 up here, but the majority of this is around 4 and 5. So doing pulls in your car, that's how you're going to determine kind of all of this right here. Again, the stock map kind of came out like this and then down, and all of this was lean. I had to richen all this up. It's really going to depend on what turbo you have, the flow characteristics, and everything. So I really recommend just kind of getting a base tune, driving it really lightly, and working your way up into this. Alright guys, one thing real quick before we leave, I forgot to mention this. Once you are done with your tune, what you're going to want to go ahead and do is save it to your computer. You can go ahead and name it right there. But you're also going to want to go and upload it to your ECU. And once it's uploaded, that is not a permanent save. You can just upload it and see if it works, and then if not, turn your car off and turn it back on, and it'll be exactly the way it was when you first started. But if you want it to be permanent changes, you have to click this Burn Changes button right here. So you have to be consulting. This will kind of go back and forth like a little Knight Rider thing. You upload it, and then you burn it to your ECU, and once it's burned, that is irreversible. You can't take that off and kind of go back to where you were. So always save whatever file you're working on, so you can always go back to what you had before. It'll just save you a lot of headache and hassle in the long run, but make sure to burn it to your ECU or else it won't save. But there you go guys, that was just a quick thing that I forgot. But that is pretty much it guys. If you have any questions, go ahead and drop a comment down below. I'll try to answer them. I'll show you, this is my load injection multiplier, the K constant. I'm at 305. The feature pack does have a total injection multiplier, Supposedly this is supposed to like overrule this. I don't quite know. And then my injection latency is 610. But that's really it. So if you guys can get all of these base settings done and then just do a real basic road tune with your fuel map, you really should be good. This is the biggest thing. You just kind of need to take it slow, do a lot of pulls, making sure you're safe. You know, when you're under boost, you don't want to be richer than like 11, but you don't want to be leaner than probably 13 to 14. You know, 12 is the target where you're supposed to be at. So if you can reach for 12, that'll be perfect. But again, guys, go ahead and drop a comment down below if you want me to explain anything else. I'll try my absolute best. And I hope that this helped you guys, and I'll see you guys later.